Cyberpunk Jordan.
Why does this thing have a Y2K thing on the front? What, is it going to explode because the comic didn't have its necessary update? Oh, I guess it did. Does any of you have this issue of Sonic the Hedgehog? Kinda need it, cause, mine exploded. Hello everyone, my name is Jordan, also known as CJ, and welcome to Jordan's Soapbox, the show where I talk about anything that I want to talk about. If you couldn't tell from the various videos on my channel, I love Sega and its mascot Sonic the Hedgehog. An unhealthy amount. But what might surprise you is that I wasn't introduced to Sonic via a video game, but rather comic books, specifically Sonic the Hedgehog under Archie Comics, which ran from 1993 to 2017 and followed the Blue Blur on various adventures with the Freedom Fighters working to stop the forces of evil. It was a bizarre but enjoyable blend of different sources of the franchise, from the animated Satayam series in the 1990s to the then modern incarnation of Sonic. It is a mammoth of a beast that I would love to talk about in depth one day, but it's outside the scope of this show. Instead, I want to focus on one of its writers, Ken Penders. Ken Penders worked on Sonic the Hedgehog since its earliest days, contributing heavily to the comic from about 1994 to 2006, according to Mobius Encyclopedia. More than a decade's worth of art, stories, and much more. While his contributions to the comic, as sometimes weird and not always working out as they might have been, I doubt it would have survived as long as it did, as it allowed the comic to have its own identity. Something kind of important considering the tumultuous time that Sega and Sonic the Hedgehog were going through during the late 1990s and 2000s. Yeah, wasn't exactly the best time. I'd love for events to have left things here. For Ken Penders to be remembered as someone multi-talented whose ideas didn't always work out, but were still admirable, and it allowed Sonic the Hedgehog to continue well into the 21st century. Sadly, that's not what Ken Penders is remembered for. Instead, he's remembered for the legal issues involving claimed ownership of his characters. There are 2 lawsuits associated with these issues, but we'll be focusing on the Archie Sega one for this discussion. The EA one is a whole other can of worms. In 2009, Ken Penders started to copyright his work on Sonic the Hedgehog, and Archie Comics on November 23, 2010, filed a federal lawsuit claiming breach of contract. But there was one tiny issue. Archie Comics didn't have that contract. Or any contributor's contract, for that matter. Yikes. On July 1st, 2013, Archie and Penders would later settle the case, and the lawsuit was dismissed. Its conclusion would result in the removal by Archie/Sega of many characters and storylines, sometimes hastily, as was the case with the Endangered Species arc, not only made by Ken Penders, but other contributors as well. Sonic the Hedgehog would receive a reboot in 2013 with a streamlined cast and different characters, but the comic would be unfortunately cancelled in 2017. I am grossly oversimplifying this legal case and the fallout of it, but that's the basic summary. Ken Penders continues to insist he owns those characters, using certain ones in upcoming works such as the Lara Sue Chronicles, and is maybe making NFTs of their characters? Because NFTs are totally the most uncontroversial thing right now. That was sarcasm. One of those characters being maybe made into an NFT, according to a tweet by Penders, is Scourge the Hedgehog, a name attached to a character I loved in the Archie Sonic comics. Scourge the Hedgehog was originally an evil version of Sonic from an alternate dimension, one where the Freedom Fighters fought against freedom and Dr. Robotnik was a kind-hearted veterinarian. He would appear in multiple stories afterwards, causing all sorts of headaches for Sonic, including impersonating him because of similar appearances on Mobius, and hitting on a ton of women there. It was only after writer Ian Flynn took the reins and had him transform via Master Emerald into Scourge the Hedgehog, where he would become a much more interesting character, with unique motivations for his actions. He was one of my favorite characters, and I even remember writing to Archie asking when he would appear next. Sure enough, he'd get his own little miniseries in Sonic Universe. I was heartbroken to see the character never return after the reboot, and to say that the Green Hedgehog has always been on my mind is kind of an understatement. But all this discussion about NFTs made me wonder, does Ken Penders really own Evil Sonic / Scourge the Hedgehog? I mean, come on, is that really accurate? Well, based on the evidence and research I've conducted, the conclusion is no, but with an asterisk. Let's talk about it. Before we begin, we need to have some housekeeping with some disclaimers. This is a video not meant to drum up unneeded controversy or harassment. Seriously, act like adults when it comes to this discussion, or you will be thrown into the volcano lava. And it burns. Furthermore, I am not a lawyer. I'm just someone obsessed with copyright law. I have done as much research on this topic as I possibly could, but this is not legal advice, and I could be wrong about things. So, let's dive into this hedgehog-shaped hole. Ken Penders does have a detailed list of characters he claims he owns and associated registrations from the US Copyright Office. Now, it should be noted that the US Copyright Office does not actually verify whether these registrations are correct, and after a brief moment for contesting claims, future disputes must be settled in court. That's an important note because since the court case ended in a settlement instead of a victory for either Penders or Archie / Sega, these registrations could very well be either correct or incorrect. But since the latter would literally end the video immediately, we will remove that and instead assume that the listed registrations are indeed accurate. When I looked at said registrations, after wanting to scream to the top of my lungs on how archaic it all was, seriously, whoever runs the US Copyright Office website, why? Why must you torture the bear like this? All of these registrations are related to individual issues of Sonic the Hedgehog that feature the character. Now, for the ones for Evil Sonic, they're mostly related to artwork, script, or other similar aspects of the comic that he worked on. There's nothing here that would be a registration for the character itself. Now, the funny thing is that Penders actually replied to a tweet with this similar argument, stating that, quote, "That's not you being stupid. Practically everyone doesn't understand how copyright really works. If you notice, there's no copyright for James Bond as a character, but the fact the character is in a book and a film is what gives him protection. The use of character matters." And Penders is unfortunately incorrect when it comes to this. What allows a character such as James Bond copyright is not that they are already in a copyrighted work, which for characters is actually separate from the underlying work, but instead that they are unique and distinct enough to warrant such a copyright. James Bond has a number of unique attributes to him that makes him different from other super spy type characters, such as his employment under MI6, love of martinis that are shaken but not stirred, and so on. There are enough differences to make him a unique and recognizable character. But unfortunately, Evil Sonic does not have those differences to make them unique or distinct enough. Firstly, it falls in the archetype of the evil version or clone that we've seen countless times in other media. Not exactly a new idea or concept. I mean, seriously, think about all the times you've seen it. It's a lot. Secondly, Evil Sonic is not a completely original character, but instead is a character based on Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, Sonic, because that's the name of the comic, and it's also literally in the name of Evil Sonic. I mean, come on, that's not a complete clue already. Instead, Evil Sonic is what I would call a derivative work. In the United States, these are works based on other works that change the original work in a certain manner, such as adaptation or transformation. In the case of characters, different versions of that character would likely count as a transformation of the original work. Evil Sonic is a derivative work of Sonic because the character lacks much uniqueness or distinctiveness from his counterpart besides an occasional different outfit and personality. Example, this is an image from the comic. Want to know which one's Evil Sonic and which one's Sonic? Take a guess. I'll wait. Time's up. The answer is, I don't actually know. Yeah, I literally don't know which one is which. I'm confused, and all of you likely were as well. It's a similar case with Scourge the Hedgehog, which Penders has nothing to actually do with its creation, from what I can find anyway. The debut issue of Scourge the Hedgehog in Sonic 160 had no mention whatsoever of Penders in its credits. Ken Penders instead claims he owns the character based on it being a derivative work of his, explaining, quote, "When Robo-Robotnik becomes the new Eggman, it isn't done off-panel. Neither is Evil Sonic's transformation into Scourge. My characters are literally shown being given makeovers and a name change, thus they have no degree of separation being my characters." While Scourge the Hedgehog certainly has more unique or distinct qualities to him compared to Evil Sonic, green skin, scars on the chest, having a far more power-hungry nature to them, it's still based on Sonic the Hedgehog. He's still an evil version of Sonic. And since we have already established that Evil Sonic is a derivative of Sonic the Hedgehog based on his lack of unique or distinct qualities, Scourge the Hedgehog is also a derivative work in the same manner. So, based on my evidence and interpretations, I do not believe that Ken Penders is correct when he claims that he owns Evil Sonic or Scourge the Hedgehog, with that ownership of both characters likely being under Sega. They just probably don't want to use them. Probably. It does not mean that he has no ownership of anything. He does own the stories and artwork associated with individual issues of Sonic the Hedgehog featuring Evil Sonic, but it's unlikely he owns either character. There are some factors I haven't considered, like the settlement of the lawsuit allowing Ken Penders' ownership of the characters, but I doubt this because Sega would have basically lost control over a very basic derivative of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I doubt it would be allowed to happen. Fair use is also another consideration, but I don't think Evil Sonic or Scourge the Hedgehog would meet the criteria for such exemptions. There is lastly always the possibility that I might have missed something or viewed this incorrectly, but that's the conclusion I've reached. Now what? I want to use an example from one of my favorite films, War Games. It's when the computer Joshua realizes the outcome of nuclear war will always result in the destruction of humanity. Therefore, the best solution is not to play, aka the no-win scenario. In much the same way, the internet needs to understand that no-win scenario when it comes to arguments with Ken Penders and his claims of ownership of these characters. Like Joshua, we need to realize that the best solution is to not play at all, which means leaving Ken Penders alone. Yeah, you heard me. No more shitposts, no more replies to his stuff, none of those things. It's not worth it. If Sega feels that copyright infringement of their characters has been committed, they will take necessary action in the courts. Other than that, I think we all need to move on with our lives and not fight a figurative war that just won't have a victor. Or, as Joshua will likely ask,
A strange game. This ownership of characters from Ken Penders is. The only winning move is not to play. How about a nice game of Sonic 06?
Oh boy, I probably shouldn't have used Sonic 06 as an example, but anyway, thanks for watching this legally dense episode of Jordan's Soapbox. I'll see you all a little later. You know, after I deal with the angry fans outside. Hello, is this thing on? Anyway, hi everyone, thanks so much for watching Jordan's Soapbox. Before you leave the hotel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and other things that you should be doing. It's just courtesy. And if you want to become one of my legions of gummy bears, why not consider supporting me on Patreon or Ko-Fi? Links in the description. Anyway, that's about it for me. Bye now.